Okay, we are live. You hear the music?
I do.
Okay. So we'll take, as usual, take a minute to share, and then we. On avait sauté que c'est cadu, puis alors on n'allume plus. Droit d'auteur, c'est le couvre-feu. Les enseignants sont partis. Qui a brûlé la Sonara? Sous des capots en sous des blés en Amérique. Et la CFPS fait la muette. Wako, il y avait parlé. Et Woda, 42 ans, voilà. Plus jamais seul. 42 ans de misère. Nous voulons plus. Les fontaines publiques étaient là. Maman, on avait ça. À 25 francs, je prends son tube. Maman, c'était le prix. Je vais parler. Il n'y avait pas besoin de. Il y avait quoi avant? Il y avait quoi avant? Il y avait quoi avant? On avait sauté que c'est cadu. Puis alors on n'allume plus. Droit d'auteur, c'est le couvre-feu. Les enseignants sont partis. Qui a brûlé la Sonara? Sous des capots en conducteur. Sous des blés en Amérique. Et la CFPS fait la muette. Wako. Il y avait parlé. Okay. Et Woda, 42 ans, voilà. Plus jamais seul. 42 ans de misère. Nous voulons plus. Les fontaines publiques étaient là. Maman, on avait ça. À 25 francs, je prends son tube. Maman, c'était le prix. Go. Je vais parler. Il n'y avait pas besoin de tribaliser. Même pas délatiser. La CNI, on avait ça. C'est pas comme maintenant. Avec Pakakoe, Kunakoe. Wako, Kunakoe. Are you done sharing?
Yeah.
So of course we do not have any rights to the music. I feel like that's something that we have to say. We have no rights to the music that's played. It is Risha Buna, and the title to the song is Iavekwa. I feel like it's kind of befitting because at this time we are kind of critiquing and looking into the President Paul Biya's 40 years in office, right? So I think the music playing now is kind of befitting to this conversation. That's why I picked it. We have 4 people on. I think maybe we just give it a minute or so, and then we can, and then we can, and then we can start. On avait sauté que c'est cadu. Puis alors on n'allume plus. Droit d'auteur, c'est le couvre-feu. Les enseignants sont partis. Qui a brûlé la Sonara? Sous des capots en conducteur. Sous des blés en Amérique. Et la CFPS. Richard Bona has been very active in political commentaries in Cameroon. Not formally, but once in a while he would put out something that critique the government seriously. So Yeah. So yeah, we are going to start in a minute. We just want to get a few people join in first before we kick off. Again, as you can see in the title, we are going to be talking about the Cameroon elections, drama that's happening now. With you know President Paul Biya demanding another term of office, and the opposition seem to be fractured as usual. So yeah, we're going to explore that. Okay. I feel like we're good to go. You want to introduce, and then
Oh,
we can start off. I will turn down the music.
absolutely, sir. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining again this midweek episode. We are happy to have you guys here. As Asong said, we're going to be talking about the upcoming elections in Cameroon. A lot has been happening lately. We are here to share our insights, our thoughts, our comments. So if this is something that interests you, please leave a comment in the comment section, or you can join in, and we'll be happy to have you. We have a few clips and pictures that we've lined up, and we're going to be sharing on the screen, and then we'll have commentaries that follow suit. Again, if our page is something that has benefited you in the past, please kindly like, subscribe, and share. That will go a long way in helping us. Without much ado, we are going to talk about the elections. It's happening in October of this year. We have the registration that has been closed. We currently have a total of 83 candidates. We have a few that we're going to review. And yeah, let's go. This is something
Um,
that
uh,
interests you. Please,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. Um, I guess without further ado, let's just get in. Let's dig in. Um, a country of maybe 33 million people, 83 candidates have deposited their documents to run for election. This is a preliminary process where everyone who thinks they're eligible can deposit their documents. Um, what are your thoughts?
I am a little torn here because the number of candidates could kind of signify two things. It could signify that Cameroon has a very strong democratic system where people are free to run for office, and that the process is probably simple and clear enough that people are able to do that. I mean, putting in 86 candidates for a country of 30 something 30 something million is quite significant. And also, again, even though we have 83 candidates, we have a lot more political parties, right? Because
Yeah,
each candidate is either representing a political party or is running as an independent. But outside the 83 candidates who are running, we have a lot more political parties who either did not have the means or the finances to to send in a candidate for these elections, right? um it could also mean that people are so frustrated with the current government to the point where there is a feeling that people need to step up, right? And I don't know if it's only frustration with the current government or if it's frustration with with the opposition as well,
yeah,
because we have about 4 or 5 main opposition parties in Cameroon. You would expect that those would be the parties that will send in their candidacy for these elections, but we have 83. So it's not a very it doesn't speak well to either the ruling party or to the opposition. It doesn't speak well
right.
to their standing because people don't have faith or trust in the ruling party, which makes sense. Now they don't even have faith or trust that the opposition can fully represent. That is
Yeah,
why again, in my opinion, that's why we have 83 candidates running
can do kind of,
or vying for that position.
Mm,
Yeah, that's what I think.
yeah. Oh, it almost looks like a ridicule of the democratic process. It's like a total clown show. I'm sure we have a few clips to show, but then if you look at the people who have deposited their documents, you're like, really? Come on. You could not even dress up and polish your shoes and
Right,
look kept and look
right.
presentable and even talk in a way that shows that this person is serious to lead a country. We, it just looks like a total joke, honestly speaking. I mean, you can say, well, that's democracy for you. Again, it begs a big question: is democracy really an African thing? Because if you look at 83 people vying to rule
Or
38 million people,
not necessarily whether it's an African thing. I think the bigger question is whether the more political, the more multi party, the more political parties you have, signify
diversity,
a strong democracy. I mean,
right,
it might come across as such, but in the case of Cameroon, it's I don't feel like it speaks to the strength of democracy within Cameroon itself. For me, like again, like you said, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people are running for office and
right,
they can't
right,
properly express themselves either in French or English, because again, the languages that I heard, I'm not sure which language they were speaking.
right,
Not properly dressed, So, yeah, it doesn't tell me much about
right.
the situation in Cameroon at all. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, just wanted
Yeah,
to add
yeah.
that.
No, no worries. But yeah, it's democracy. It's supposed to be representing the will of a people. But if you have 83 people who have deposited, and I understand this is the preliminary phase, and Elekamsi has to go through and screen people and then come
Right,
out with a final list.
right.
But it seems to be a bit absurd that you have this number of people who are vying to run a country of a very diverse country at that matter. But is it a good question you pose there? Is it democracy at work or is it disillusion? I don't know what to think about it. It makes me see why a lot of people are running towards people like Adama Traore in Burkina Faso. He
Hmm.
didn't come through a democratic process, but he's very
Right,
popular. Anyway, I digress.
right.
But then it doesn't seem like this is ingrained in the African mindset that we need a structure that will put out serious people to be able to represent a serious political party. But it is what it is. Obviously, it's a victory lap for for the CPDM. They can say, you guys to see, we are multi-party states.
Right.
Everyone is free to job to run for
Hmm.
elections. So
Hmm.
that they are going to take that and run with
It,
it. And
it's
you
a
can't
good.
really argue with them. Yeah, I mean, what's the argument? You can't argue. If you feel like you can run the country better than we do, form a
Come.
political party or run. Yeah, so you can't really argue with them. But then the quality of the candidates has been so discouraging, so disheartening to watch. You earlier said people can express themselves, and we're going to play that. Okay, I was just going to move to another point. Do you feel the engagement from Cameroonians, particularly the youths? Do you feel like this, like people are motivated to go out and cast their votes and make their voices heard?
First of all, registration to vote ended about 2 weeks or a couple, yeah,
Right.
a couple of weeks ago, and based on the last information I got, out of the 35 million Cameroonians, I think less than I was looking at about 7 to 8 million
Yeah.
Cameroonians. Then I begin to wonder how many young people are even interested again in registering to vote. Because again, the
Right.
first thing is you can't perform your civic duty unless you kind of
Yeah.
register to vote, right? And if you do not register to vote, like how do you contribute to making change? So I think that is definitely the key. That's how you can gauge the level of engagement in these elections. I mean, 7 million people register to vote out of 35 plus doesn't sound too encouraging. And then if you go into that and if you break down the uh, to find out how many young people are. I don't hear a lot of young people talking about they are not
Yeah.
motivated, they are not
Yeah.
enthusiastic about the election. Again, for obvious reasons, could just have been disillusioned where they don't really care. They don't really care what's happening. They might find the ruling party a disappointment, but they might look at the opposition and
Tend
say
to look
this
at the opposition.
look like a bigger disappointment, right? And there's this common saying people would say like the devil you know is better than the angel you don't. And I feel like this is the mentality some Cameroonians have had for a while. We know the current president. We know how he operates. We know how things work. These other guys, they are not
Yeah,
they are not clearly articulating to us what it is that they intend to do
they
with the
want to change.
with
Yeah,
with the country, right? So
yeah,
it's hard to say. Politics in Cameroon, maybe Africa is a little different. In the West, you hear they would come out
keep
and say
changing.
what
Yeah,
it is that they want to do when they get into office, right? They focus on economy, security. We have all those problems, but you don't hear these politicians clearly putting out solutions to the problems we have. Talk about youth unemployment. I see Issa Chiroma, who was one time Minister of Youth, is complaining about the high level of unemployment for youth. But he was Minister of Employment for a while. So he complains, he makes a complaint about a government that he was part of.
right.
And he was head of that ministry. Yet he cannot tell you what it is that he did to attempt to resolve the youth unemployment situation in Cameroon. He cannot tell you what it is that he is going to do differently from what has been
From
done in
the
the past. And I think that is where our politics kind of fails us. Like, people want you to vote them for who they are. No policies backing that up. I think that is
right.
that is that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
definitely a serious problem. And I think clearly that's why you don't hear the youth talking a lot about the elections. They are not motivated, they're not enthusiastic. I don't think that even the candidates are engaging them enough. Only recently did I saw a few things on Facebook and Instagram from the CPTM. Again, that is where every young person is: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
right.
You don't have a TikTok account, and you plan your every young person is on their phone. That is where they get the news. That is how they engage. That's how they know. That is where they get the news, right? And again, if these candidates are not there, it's hard. I know the last time we spoke, we had complained about not seeing the Camtos and the Joshua
Just
Osi in social media, but I think I've seen a lot more present for both candidates, which is kind of promising. Even though I mean I don't think it's enough. I think they are still way behind, but again, we still have a few
right.
months to go, right? So yeah.
Mm, yeah. Well, that's a good assessment. I definitely agree with your take there. But I think something to add. I think the opposition is trying to play a game that the SDF, that the CPA is already very good at. They are in the government, they have the military, they have the money to spend, they have the resources behind them, and
Mhm,
this opposition do not have this. So they are just playing catch up right now. Talking about youth being involved, like the was broadcasting on CRTV, youth contributed 30 million francs, which is the required amount to run
mhm,
for presidential election for the incumbent. So the CPN had that, the broadcaster, of course, it's a victory for them, so they're going to take it. They had that, and then look at the youth are really supporting us. So, but when you come to social media or you're in different groups, you hear all people saying, "Oh, the youth are not really supporting Biya." And look, there are people that disagree with you and are even willing to put in money, even you
mhm.
call it fake or not. At least
Yeah,
the optics is out there.
right.
That shows that the youth are there trying to have a 92-year-old person. Can you imagine that 92-year-old person run for the eighth term? It's like it's unimaginable. Then you as SAF, you as MRC, how do you want to compete with that kind of thing? Like you don't even have a social media presence. You're not even having people who are I mean,
On the ground, right?
fair to say, I haven't really seen them that much. Maybe I don't pay attention to social media that much. But then I anywhere you turn, even news that are trying to be fair and balanced and are just showing commentaries, they mostly talk about CPDM. Honestly speaking, it's mostly about CPDM. Like the rally in Norway, which for many people think that is still like infighting going, Amber and whatever stuff. But CPDM was able to hold a rally in Bamenda and call its militants, have a meeting, broadcast it on news. Sure, they have it. But I don't know if I've seen SDF had that amount of pull in Norway or Southwest, which was one of the strongholds back in the days. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it is disheartening, it's sad. And again, to reiterate your point about the failures of the government, it's very obvious. failure in every sector. You can count how much the government has failed. But
Mhm.
then the opposition, in my opinion, has failed the people woefully. They have failed to provide them a viable option. They
Option.
have failed to articulate what they will do different. If you
Right.
just listen to opposition people, maybe for different from Camto, who's tried to be a little bit more reducing government, but the
Mhm.
rest of them are just trying to go in there and do the same thing that Biya is doing. It's just they're not happy with CPM. They want to go there and be the CPN of the day. For me, that's just the opposition of Cameroon. There's nothing different that they're trying to articulate that might be enticing to you. So, like, you know what?
Mhm.
This is something that has not been done that we can try. They are only trying to push more government, more centralized power, so that they can be at the top of it. It's
Mhm.
for me. That's my opinion.
I have a comment here from Emil Ban. Emil Ban is watching. He
Yeah.
sent a few
All
comments which
right, Emil.
I'd like to read. And he says, "Good evening. I think most of the candidates are sponsored, while some are there just for cheap popularity. How can you explain the fact that a candidate who is only known in Facebook is dreaming of having 1% of the votes? The
Some
voter,
don't even have Facebook.
some don't even have a Facebook account, and that's for sure. Some are just came out of the woodwork. I
Yeah.
don't know how to raise the 30 million
I,
francs CFA
I,
that is required
I
for
don't know.
to put in your application for the presidency. But again, for some reason, again, I guess that's why Emil said they are sponsored, because
Yeah.
again, you look at the candidates and the people. I mean, just looking at them, you don't believe they would have 1,000 francs in their pocket,
Right.
but they are putting 30 million francs as you know
Mhm.
down payment for this. It's yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, for sure. I think some of these candidates are sponsored.
Yeah.
Emil Ban also said the voters ap- apathy could also be because most voters believe the result of the election is already known before the actual voting.
Yeah.
Is that an excuse to be
I,
uninvolved?
I mean,
Is
it's
that a good
not an
excuse? I
excuse.
mean, it is an excuse. Is that a good excuse to
Mm,
give?
Well, I wouldn't say. I think you should participate in the elections of your country. It's your civic duty. That's one of the
Mhm.
ways you make your voices known. I think people should do. But
Mhm.
then you can definitely understand why some people have this apathy. Some
Right.
people like don't feel motivated or not because they don't see any change happening. They
Mhm.
feel like they've been singing the same song. I would like to see more people involved. I'd like to see more people encouraged to vote and
Right.
cast their voices, cast their
Right.
ballot to share their voices. But I don't think that's really happening because of all the things that we've listed. We can blame the government for that. I mean, since I was a kid it has been the same story. They're gonna rig the election. They're gonna rig the election. We all know this. So what is stopping us from motivating and rallying and coming together as one, and then more importantly, coming united as an opposition to show the exit? Like, well, is it sponsor? You can say that, but it's sad. Like since I was a kid, we've always heard that the government is sponsoring opposition. Is that new? Like I grew up hearing that. Okay. So at a certain
Mhm.
point, it's like, yeah, so we're just gonna give up and let the 92-year-old rule us again for another 7 years. 7 years is a long time. If you're 33, you'll be 40. If you're 43, you'll be
Right.
50.
Right.
If you're 55, you'll be probably retired
Mhm.
by the time probably is there. So I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I want us to. We talked about the quality of the candidates, which I mean that could be one of the reasons why
Yeah,
people are not motivated. I want us to listen to again we have a good number of them and a good number of clips that we could play, but again it's
yeah.
like it's
It's a waste of time.
nothing that could be taken seriously. But I just want us to listen to one, so when we talk about the quality of the candidates, our audience would understand exactly what it is that we're talking about. This is an between, I think it's Mimi Menfo and one of the candidates. I don't even know his name. I don't want to know his name because again joke. I would find the clip, which I
Yeah.
think I have. And yeah, let's listen.
Of them, they don't have jobs. What policies would you introduce to combat youth unemployment?
Creating companies. Before you create companies, agriculture is in my program, I said the agriculture is the topmost. The first thing I have to handle, because you cannot be talking about creating companies when you don't have the minerals. So you can only create companies when you have the minerals put in place before you can now create companies. So by that time now, when you have both the agricultural sector, you'll be opening the companies. No, now you will see that you employ young people, because it's only young people that are the main target. And in the Cameroon, there are only young people that are being frustrated, running down the streets every day. And it is only young people that are dying on the Red Sea, die in the desert, trying to look for minerals out of the country.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
whether to laugh or to cry
you know who I
or to take
pitied?
him seriously.
I pitied Mimi for.
Because
You
she
could
has to sit
tell
there and listen to
she had to sit there and listen to all that nonsense and try to be professional and not smile and not come back at the guy. Can you imagine listening to that
Mhm,
and you're forced to,
mhm.
make as if you're understanding what he's trying
So
to
he
say?
said, but but again, honestly, he made very good points. I think the
Yeah,
points he made are pretty good. I think the agricultural sector in Cameroon needs to be developed. It needs to be improved.
right.
We have a lot of farmland, fertile soil all over the place. Now
Mhm.
it's figuring out how to develop that, right? And also, the infrastructure, transportation. How do we get this? How do we store this perishable? Because a lot of time, it's more perishable products. How do we do that? I think the idea is, there's something about him. He knows what needs to happen. He is just not able to articulate. And even just talking about youth unemployment, which is something that we mentioned here earlier. Yes, youth employment for Cameroon is probably 24%,
Is
20
that
something
high? Yeah.
percent. That is really high. It's really high. So there's a problem there that needs to be fixed. At least he was able to identify an issue right there. And also talking about, the number of Cameroonians who are dying on their way to the US through the Mexico road, as people say, or who are, trying to cross to Europe through Libya and getting caught up in that human trafficking situation. We have Cameroonians who are dying in the sea as well, right? So, you know, you could hear what he has to say. Now, his articulation might be the problem, or
Right.
finding a way to make it make sense. That would be an issue. But if people like Joshua was saying of the SDF, or Maurice Kamto of the MRC, and now
Money them.
Minadab, which again is a confusing situation. If you hear them talk like that, it would be different. But I don't hear them speak in that manner. They don't speak in the language that the common man on the street understands, which I think is a problem. But again, that's the quality of the candidates that we have running for office. And again, that's just one of many. One
Well,
of many.
kudos to you for trying to make me see reason with the guy, because I did not understand what that guy said. Well, I understand. I mean, but you have to read into it to try to make it make sense.
Figure it
And you
out,
did a
makes
good job
sense.
there. You did a good job on trying to explain that. The agriculture and the minerals and crossing the Red Sea.
The-
The last I checked, I don't know. I don't know if people actually
I
cross the
think
Red
he
Sea.
was minerals. I
They're
will
going to
say
look for
that is
minerals.
resources. He's talking about resources and greener pasture. For me, I think that's why, because I listened to this video, I listened to it earlier, and I'm like, what is he trying to? What is he
Right,
trying to
right,
say?
yeah.
And again, that is what I assume he was. Those are the points I assume he was making.
Yeah, yeah. Well, fair, and those are very valid points, and I would think that the opposition will pick up and be able to articulate that in a better way. But speaking of representing, trying to vie for office, that's what we have. That's part of the mix of the people who want to run this country.
Right.
Okay, like if that's not discouraging to you as a voter, I don't know what else is. Like somebody who was asked a simple question, and this is something that you're supposed to have rehearsed. You're supposed to have an answer that flows
Mm-hmm.
in a logical and coherent manner, to say it out. I mean, Mimi Mefo must have told him that we're going to have an interview this day. These are the questions I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Probably. You should be ready to be able to articulate yourself. But looking at that guy, there's no more that can come out from him than what he said.
That's
He has valid points, but he cannot articulate more than that. It's as simple as that, that he's part of the bunch that's willing to leak you to come on. Valid points he may have, true, But then that is someone who cannot even differentiate
between
agriculture from
resource,
minerals,
yeah,
between,
resources, that
between
resource,
resources and
rare
minerals, and
earth.
people are going out there rare but again, is it a government failure? Sure, but it's also a failure of the opposition. Is it
Right.
the lax process of now? I don't even know if gathering 30 million to them. I don't even know if they've already deposited that 30 million or the disciplinary phase where you have to deposit.
Processes,
Have you
right.
have you already supposed to have deposited that money?
I'm not sure what the
I'm
process
not
is.
sure.
We have a
Yeah,
little clip of kind of the process
yeah,
of procedure by Agbo Bala. We are going to get to it,
right. Yeah,
but
so
I
I'm not
think,
sure if these
sorry,
people have actually already deposited money or they've
I
just
don't know
deposited
that this guy
documents.
has 20,000 20,000
I
francs in
mean,
his pocket.
if you have 30 million, at least you have a better couch. Let's just say that's a side. That's a side.
You have an
But
office,
you
at
have
least
an
an
office.
office to go do your
And,
interviews at, right?
well, and to be candid, Enio was kind enough to give him light for that day, so that's good. But anyway, he has it. I think the inability to articulate simple ideas, the core principles
Right.
of your campaign, yeah, it was disheartening.
Another key thing that a lot of people are talking about when it comes to this presidential elections, and I think almost everyone has had something to say about it.
Yeah,
We are talking about the oldest serving president in the
president.
world,
Yeah,
who is currently 92 years old. Um, a president who has not granted a live interview
in
for as
decades.
long as I can remember.
Well, he did one maybe like 2 years ago in France. Yeah.
A president who, as I've heard, for the past how many years hasn't had a cabinet meeting, a meeting with his ministers. Issa Chiroma is the one who divulged that information, that he was
He
minister
was a
of
minister.
this
Yeah.
and that and that. He's never had an opportunity to sit with the president with other ministers to talk about
Mhm.
how things are going. It is
Yeah.
someone who appears to be distant from the republic, but yet is still wanting to lead, or is still being propped
Yeah.
up by I guess Cameroon has a deep state, or
A
I'm,
deep
I'm
state.
not
There
sure.
is a deep state in
I'm
Cameroon.
not
I
sure
heard.
how to explain that. Before we start putting things up, what do you think about the president, his age? Is that something that is relevant? How relevant is it? Because
Yeah.
let's not forget, Biden from a couple of
Right.
months ago was almost that old and was
Yeah.
still running. It took I don't know,
Biden was what, 83, 84? I can't remember now.
about that. But yeah, I mean, old
So a
and
decade, a decade
decade
younger than.
younger. I mean, but again, it's like it's old. What what
Right.
what do we think about people's age and
Yeah. I
service?
uh, with my professional background, I don't think you can have a rational functioning human being at 92 years old. It is ridiculous to say that in a country of 33 million, a 92-year-old is the most qualified person to be able to lead that country. But kudos to the guy, he has built a system for decades that seems to be working for him.
Mhm,
And I say this with all respect. If you want to study African politics, you should study Paul Biya. The guy has never been one to go out there and grant interviews
no,
and share his opinion. Yeah,
no.
I mean, you go and search YouTube. You will rarely find an interview of Bobby.
Hmm.
Even when he's fine, he's saying, and it's working for him right now
Hmm.
because he's not granting an interview. You have nothing to compare him with. All you can say he has a wisdom with. So the guy has been a master class in terms of understanding the Cameroonian people, having them in a grip where
Hmm.
he doesn't need to say much. He
Hmm.
just needs to organize the people around him, and everybody is working to prop him up there to be the leader. I mean, you say what you may, but the guy's a genius, honestly speaking. He's a genius to have the ability to rule a very diverse country as such for this long. And he's still having people, youth included,
Hmm.
who
Of
are,
course.
most of them are unemployed. Most of
Hmm.
them, like what he said, most of them are underemployed. They can't even afford a living, but they are looking at him as a better option than the opposition out there. I mean, you may not agree with him, but you have to say like this is marvelous. Like it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So I've always thought he has figured out Cameroonians and
Mhm.
Africa in general in a way
Mhm.
that a lot of leaders have not. You know, the way the conflict in the Northwest was handled, like in other countries, that will easily topple the government when you have a faction or a militia controlling the North
Mhm.
and South.
Yeah.
But he has been able to manage that in such a way that it's incredible. It's actually incredible.
It
And
is. It is even more. Sorry.
and
Complete
and
your train of thought.
and let me finish my. And if and I'm about to say it, if you hold a free and fair election in the Northwest, the
He
CPDM
might.
is likely to win.
He might win.
Yeah, without cheating, without cheating. So he because I don't see any movement by the SDF. Like SDM is on it's on life support right now. Like, do you hear SDF anywhere? Do they
No.
make any significant noise anywhere
No.
that can move people
No.
around? Like it's ridiculous. If you hold
Five members. Is it 3 or 4 or 5 members in
in,
parliament?
in the
That's
parliament.
SDF.
Like that's it. Like you don't have any leverage. You don't have any voice. But like it's saddened. It's very sad to see that a 92-year-old Steve Vine and he's the incumbent and he's leading. But then when you look back, you like this guy has figured out Cameroonians and Africa in a way that the opposition, with all the smartness, have not.
Ghana, I don't think he's only figured out Cameroon. I think he's figured out the world,
The
because
world.
nobody's talking about person of influence is talking about Paul Biya in a negative way.
And in a negative
No,
way,
I've
like,
not heard any head of state from any part of the world refer to Paul Biya as an old man who has been in
right.
office too long. They don't talk
Yeah,
about him in that light.
you have to come in. Yeah.
They praise him for they support. So for some reason, he's not only mastered Cameroon and Africa, he's been able to master the rest of the world. He has a very formidable, I don't know if it's a foreign relations team or he has a very formidable lobby department in the different, the United States, no. He gains
You know,
favor with the United States every time. It doesn't matter who the president is. Donald Trump, Biden,
Biden,
Obama, he
Obama.
gains
Yeah.
favor. It doesn't matter. France at this point is falling out with most of their
They're colonists. Have you heard them
colonies.
fall out with Cameroon?
Nobody's talking about him. Not positively, not negatively. They're
Not
just not
negatively.
talking about him. What is he doing?
What is he doing?
I can't tell you. The United Kingdom, where they criticize every leader.
Yeah.
Nobody is criticizing Paul Biya. Nobody is
Yeah.
talking about Cameroon,
Yeah.
right? And that is funny. Because I read something. The United States Embassy in in Yaoundé put out a post which is interesting. I don't know if you've seen it.
Nah, I didn't say it.
It would be an interesting post to see, but I could find out and put it up later. Why don't we're talking about Paul Biya's age before we kind of digress, right? We have there's an interesting post here I got from Facebook. Auntie Phel
Auntie Felicia, yeah, the comedian.
made a comment. Auntie Felicia made a comment. I don't know if you could see it or you could read it.
Yeah, I can say it. Yeah.
Yeah,
CRTV journalist Chacha Bonet says bringing Biya's age amounts to a hate rhetoric. Well, if his age does not matter, his campaign should please desist from using images from him in 1994 for the flyers and posters. Let them run his campaign with his current image, or are we voting for a flashback? Repeatedly using multiple decades-old images is electoral catfishing. If the amount of effort and hard work that goes into making him young had been put in running the government ministries, Cameroon would have been the first world country. For you to make this kind of arguments you just did is at best a historian's fallacy and at worst manipulative. Yeah. Well, I think that's a fair point. We're not using the guy has been running the country since 1982. So do you want us to update the pictures at every time? Which is a fair point. I mean, that picture is what, in the 90s of Biya? That's been off. But he hasn't gone out and come in for us to update the pictures. When a US president like Trump won, they had to take down Biden's pictures. He has been running the country for the last, 50 something years, almost 50 years.
Yeah.
Why do you want to update the picture? It's the same guy.
It's the
But
same guy.
fair observation. Fair
Um,
observation for Auntie Felicia.
One thing that I kind of want to highlight here, CRTV, Cameroon Radio Television,
Mhm.
is a state-sponsored, state-run
Right.
media house, right?
Yeah.
I don't expect anything less
What do you expect
from
of
a
this?
journalist from
Okay, the
CRT.
CRTV. Right.
Nothing. They can't criticize the government again because you can't buy the finger that feeds you. The
Yeah.
government pays and runs the station. And if you don't know, he this Charles Ebune is not the first.
There's not. Have you heard Simon
He's not
Leonga
the first.
Salave? Have you heard
Yes,
Simon Leonga Salave about Biya? If
yes.
you read in poetic terms, the
Mhm.
guy uses like flashy words, big words, and in such a poetic
Right.
and fluent and captivating and succinct way of praising Pobia. Like you should go listen to Charles Apune talk about not Charles Apune, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Simon Leonga. You'll be
Mhm.
like, wow. Wow. So CRTV journalists can be this creative.
It's not
But
just
yeah,
him. George
it's
Iwane.
not just,
There's a long list. There's a
this
host
is the George One.
of
He's the
anglophone journalists who
yeah.
are working for the CRTV
But, yeah. Fair
who
point.
would.
CRTV is kind of like the scapegoat here and just the Cameroon government is the main employer
Mhm.
of Cameroonians.
Yeah.
You should think about that. The
Right.
Cameroon government, like, I mean, if you want to develop any country, how is the government the main employer? Like, seriously, that means the private sector is dead. First of all, the Cameroon government is the main employer. So a lot of people, whether directly or indirectly, are very
Agree.
invested in
Yeah.
keeping Pobia in
Right.
place because they
Right.
are benefiting directly from the
Right.
government.
Right.
You have a lot of we know a lot of teachers that mostly kind of still collecting salaries in Cameroon. You
Yes.
think
They
those
can't
people want
speak.
the
They
system
can't
to
speak
change?
out. Of course.
You think so? It's
And
it's
again, it's
it's
like
just
we too are a part of the problem because most of the time, we blame Paul Biya, we blame him.
yeah,
I mean, fairly. He takes a big part of that blame. But again,
sure.
we ourselves are a part of
Oh,
that problem.
Cameroonians are the part of the problem.
We um we aid and abet, we facilitate, we encourage a lot of that. We do encourage a lot of that.
We
You
do
have
it. I usually
you
agree with that.
have an uncle or an aunt who works for the government, who gets you a job in the government because
Get
you
it, Jeff.
graduated. I
Yeah,
don't hear you
right.
complaining that no, I shouldn't get this job, I'm not qualified. You go in and you
You do
collect
the
your check,
job,
right?
even you're unqualified.
Your parents are calling Paul Biya's name, yet they have a son who does not have a degree, who is working where he should.
In
So
the
again,
ministry.
he working somewhere. So at the end of the day, it's not a one it's not one it's not a one man's problem.
Right. It's the whole
Cameroon is
country.
what it is today, thanks to all of us, thanks to
It's a
all of us. Because again,
collective
corruption,
failure.
it takes two to be corrupt.
Right.
It doesn't just take the police officer on the street. It takes
Yeah.
you who
You.
hands over the bribe, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
just take the custom officer at the custom. It takes you who has brought in um um um
Goods that
um
are not allowed to the
goods that are
country.
not allowed. It takes you
Contraband.
to contraband, to put in the bribe. I remember, going to Cameroon a couple of years back, and then you get to custom, and there people are trying to open your bags, and I knew I had nothing in it that was illegal or that wasn't allowed to
Mhm.
go through, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I have a little bit of time, you can open and
Yeah.
look around and do whatever it is that you have to do. And I wasn't going to give anybody anything, and that's what I
Yeah.
did. But again, I had people who traveled with me on the same flight
Say just give money now.
who were not willing to have their bags open and checked. Why was that? Because they knew that they had things in the bag which wasn't allowed to clear custom, or which
Yeah.
required a significant amount of money to clear custom. So now they would do what? They would bribe the airport custom officials so that their things could go through. Who
Yeah.
is the problem here? Is it the custom officer, or is
Yeah.
it you? Or is it
Is it
both of
both of
you,
you?
right?
Yeah.
So again, I just kind of wanted to put that out there. But again, we're
Ooh.
talking about journalists with CRTV, and again, this is not new. If you've been
It's not
if you
new. It's not.
if
It's
you
not.
if you followed Cameroon politics, the news, you know that the CRTV is they are the spokespeople for the CBDM and the ruling party.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a clear fact. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there again. Just talking about Paul Biya is talking about his age, right? I have another clip here that talks about his age. I will bring that up in a second. And this is foreign media.
Yeah.
Where is it? Okay, this is foreign media, and let's it's I think it's called First Post, and let's kind of hear what they say about the political situation in Cameroon. They kind of describe, talk about how long Paul Biya, first of all, his age, how long he's been in office, and how that has affected, Cameroon as a state, right? Let's listen.
Politicians' age. You can question their policies, you can slam their track record, but pointing out that they're old, it's often seen as a low blow. Well, we are doing exactly that tonight, because in Cameroon, the world's oldest president is running again. His name is Paul Biya. And guess how old he is? 92 years. He is older than the atomic bomb, older than space travel, older than the United Nations, and of course, the computer and the internet. Plus, he's been president since 1982. Millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, it doesn't matter. Everyone was born under President Biya. But he's not done yet. Last week, he announced his intention to run again. The elections are scheduled in October. Cameroon elects presidents for 7 years, and Paul Biya is the favorite. So he could be president until 99 years of age. This is not ambition, this is not service, this is hunger for power. Let's take a quick look at his career. Biya was born when Cameroon was still a French colony. He finished his higher studies in France. After that, he entered government service. In 1975, Biya was appointed Cameroon's prime minister. In 1982, the president suddenly resigned, so constitutionally, the job fell to him. And since then, a lot has changed. Biya faced a coup attempt. The presidential term was extended, multiple parties were allowed, term limits were abolished. Yet one thing never changed, and that is the president. Clearly, the people have become fed up. In the 1992 election, around 19% of the voters did not vote. By 2018, this number had risen to 46%. So simply put, the people are disenchanted. 1/3 of the country lives on less than $2 a day. Corruption is rampant and security is fleeting. So how does Biya win every time? Because he controls the game. The Election Commission is headed by his ally, so the game is rigged in his favor. Apparently, his biggest challenge this time is the young voter. I wonder why. Cameroon's median age is 18. Around 60% of the population is under 25 years of age, so naturally there is a gulf. His team is using social media to reach out to young voters, but most are not convinced. They don't even care about the process anymore. And this problem is not limited to Cameroon. Africa itself has so many examples. Zimbabwe had Robert Mugabe. He ruled from...
So the world seemed to see Cameroon how we've explained in the past couple of minutes.
Yeah.
What's your take? I was quite interested. I mean, how she described how old Paul Biya was, like older than the atomic bomb,
like older than space
travel. Like he was born before people started going up to space. That tells you that he's quite an old man.
He's freaking 92 years old. Born in 1933.
Right.
Okay, 1933. So in 2023, he was 90 years old. So now he's 92. In 2033, he will be 100 years old. He will be 100 years old. Let that just sink in. Just think about that and reason. So in 7 years' time, he will be 100 years old.
That is who was running for office.
That's shameful for us as Cameroonian. Very shameful. You can't open your mouth anyway, and you cannot talk to a Ghanaian or a Nigerian or South African. What do you want to say when you guys can let a 92-year-old and not only let him, but he's favorite, and he's literally on the way to winning the next election to become president? Like, what do you want to say to other Africans about why your country is backwards? Like you have nothing to say, absolutely nothing. So when they just talk, I just shut up because I have nothing to say.
Okay, yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
I just wanted to get our viewers to see
yeah,
how the
yeah,
world sees us, because
yeah,
again, this is not a national,
yeah,
this is an
yeah.
international journalist, from the first post, which I believe it's based in India, or somewhere
Oh,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that is how they are looking at
yeah,
politics in Cameroon at this time.
exactly.
Perfect. Do we let's talk a little bit about the opposition.
Yeah,
First of all, the opposition continues to be working
frag-
in isolation from each other. A lot of people have called for the opposition to come together and form a coalition, but until now, the opposition is still
no,
steaming on their own, not making any significant impact, not engaging with any significant amount of Cameroonians. What are your thoughts?
exactly what you've said. They are fragmented. There's no united voice. They all have different ideas on where they want to take the country to. Nobody is taking them seriously. Maybe a candidate of two that people are seeing them with potential, but in mass, like their position is like almost non-existent. They're just there to make noise. There's a lot of credible reports that a lot of them have been sponsored by the CPN. So
Mhm,
that's fair. Like I don't think there's a if you ask me, I don't think there's a viable opposition. Yeah, Kamto is up there and he's
mhm,
fighting. He's been doing that for a while, but uh,
mhm,
he's playing catch up. He's not on the offensive, if you ask me. He's
mhm,
just playing catch up and trying to get out there. And
mhm,
more complicated by that is that he had to change parties. Okay, he resigned from MLC. I think that was last week.
mhm,
He's now with Manindem. I don't know if that helps his chances. All I can see that's only going to hurt him, not
mhm,
help.
mhm,
So they
mhm.
are fragmented. There's no united front among them. Yeah,
Can,
not
can we
nothing
can
serious.
we speak a little bit more about Kamto? Again, like you said, he is probably the most
Yeah,
viable option
most yeah,
at this time, the most well-known option at
the
this
most
time,
known. Yeah,
probably a lot more popular than Joshua Osei of the SDF. So
yeah,
Moise Kamto is, if for any reason, would be the person that a lot of people are looking onto.
yeah.
I had a conversation with my friends out here about the move from
MRC.
Cameroon Renaissance movement
Mm,
to the African movement for new independence and democracy. My view was that the move to a new party was going to hurt him a lot,
yeah,
because people know Moise Kamto, they associate him with the MRC.
MRC. Yeah,
Now, if his campaign is not expansive enough and is not serious enough, they might lose reaching
mm,
out to members of the public who have associated him with MRC.
MRC. Yeah,
And going to the ballot box, for example, I know that the argument was no, they just look at the picture and they see who they want to vote for. But if people go in and who don't really know, and they see Moise Kamto under the money debt, and maybe they claim this is fake, or this is fraud, or this,
yeah.
don't you think that it might affect
I
how people
absolutely.
vote if they are not fully aware of that switch?
Yeah,
Again, that was the argument I was making, but
yeah.
people seem to say no, they just vote, they look at the picture, and that is what they vote for.
Yeah.
Again, that was the
Well,
argument they were making.
absolutely. I think it's going to affect him because now you almost have to change your branding
And you're
because
starting
you
over.
have, yeah, you have been known all along as MRC. He started this party in 2012, so this party is almost 13 years old,
Years
getting to
old.
15 years old.
Right.
So people has known him as MRC. He's contested for one election already,
Hmm.
so people know him as that. And then to come now and change course, mainly because you refuse to participate in the legislative
He
and municipal
boycotted
elections. He
2018.
boyc- he boycotted, so he has no representative in the in the parliament. So I think that's part of Cameroon law. You have to have a representative in parliament to be able to run for elections.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that on the SDF side because the SDF have refused to have any coalition. But then he refused. In my estimation, the sudden switch, you have maybe 2 months to campaign. I don't know
It's too
how
short.
effectively. I think it's too short for people to change people's mindset that you're really representing them when you've changed party at the last minute to be able to run. Okay, I think it was a good move. That's all he had, that was the only option he had to change parties because he could not stand because Tangaji was a hoodie on his neck. But yeah,
I remember putting up a post on our Facebook page
yeah,
about his inability to run under
yeah.
MRC.
And I saw
And,
the comments were like
and
crazy,
there were crazy comments below. I
almost
felt like
insultive.
I didn't know what I was saying.
Right.
But again, this is clear evidence that we were right. And that Atanganji Paul was right. He wasn't just
Tangaji
making this
was right.
he wasn't just making these rules out of
Yeah.
pulling them out of thin
I
air.
was saying that.
These
No.
are rules that are written, and everybody who knows about it, right? So
Yeah,
when
yeah.
people heard that he couldn't run, or he couldn't
Very shocked.
stand as a candidate, they were shocked. And
Yeah.
they gave me the impression that you guys don't know what you're
Yeah,
writing about.
we don't know what we're talking
You
about.
put out information that is not verified and things
Right.
like that, right?
And then the next
so that-
minute he goes to Manindem, which by the way, you going to Manindem is an endorsement of what Atanganji has
of
been saying
course,
all along.
of course.
You know, if you switch party, yeah, that means you're saying Atanganji is right. The next minute you go to Manindem and people are all praising me, that he has
Strategic
dealt
move.
with the
But why is that strategic
strategic
It's just
move,
because he was
blah
caught.
blah blah.
He stood there like a deer. How they
Yeah.
say?
I'm
Caught
like,
in the middle of the road, and then now he
caught in
has
the
to
middle of the road.
make
Yeah,
a quick decision to. And lucky for him, that money there
lucky for him. Had a few.
the head
I don't
of
know how many
that party wasn't power
was willing
hungry,
to.
or was willing to. I don't know what deals they.
It's similar to what happened to a guy in Canada, Poliev.
Yeah.
He lost his seat and he had to come and beg for someone's seat or someone willingly resign and give up their seat for him because he didn't have any seat,
Right.
so he had no voice. So I think that's going to affect Kamto. I know people who are optimistic by nature want to hang on to that and like, oh, that was a good move, but man, his brand, you have to almost start rebranding yourself. So
You're clearly reintroducing yourself to the
you're
Cameroonian.
read, yeah.
Originally,
Exactly.
you were
MRC.
MRC. Now you are something else. I mean, what are you? Are you moving your policies and
You're an opportunist.
manifesto from MRC and replacing that of Manidep? Are you absorbing the policies of
Who's absorbing who?
who is absorbing who is serving who's working for? I think that is where he needs to really explain. He needs to explain to people what he is doing there. Are your policies changing? Are you incorporating Manidep's policy to your program? Again, even talking about election financing, he's raised a lot of money with
MRC. Can
Is he
he
allowed to
transfer that
use
money?
this money?
Can
Is
he
he
use
allowed
it?
to move this money? Is it legal for him to move this money from MRC to Manidep? Because MRC is not dissolved, is it? No, it's not.
It's still a party.
It still has a structure, still has a party, just not have him as a candidate and not running. Not running for the president.
If you're MRC and if you're all his constituents and all the fanatics of MRC, what do you do now? You can campaign on the MRC because apparently his assistant is the leader of MRC,
and you start putting on Manidep outfit.
right? Like what do you do as a supporter of MRC? Like it's just created chaos everywhere. And frankly, in my honest opinion, and that's somebody that I have a lot of love and respect for, but this has hurt him very badly, very badly. I think it was a poor move to avoid that. 2018 to boycott in the name of protesting the government, then it has come to cost you.
And I know even back then, I've always spoken against boycott. Even when they were conversations about SDF boycotting elections. I'm like, what's the point? There's no point boycotting.
Yeah. It shows you're
right?
not even serious to fight. Like a lot of people take it like you are not willing to fight for your own
Of
people.
course.
That you're
How do
not
you
willing to
fight if
fight for
you're
the vote.
boycotting elections?
Yeah,
How do you tell the people that you're fighting for them if
yeah.
you would boycott a presidential elections or a municipal elections or
The municipal
parliamentary election?
election.
You know,
Yeah,
it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell anything good about you. That you would stop fighting and you would take a break because again,
hmm
boycotts
yeah.
are a big thing.
They're a big
And
thing,
that's
and they're
always
coming to
been.
bite him back. Yeah.
It
And
does.
speaking of boycotts, do you think that's one of the reasons? Well, not boycott per se, boycotts to an extent, and the lack of coalition with the government. Do you think that's one of the main reasons why SDF has gone out in oblivion? They're like almost extinct right now. Like, do you hear any significant noise from SDF?
I, I
I mean,
think I think the SDF had built around a person as opposed to building around ideas
right,
and policies.
and and
Nee John
nationwide policies,
Nee John was the SDF,
right?
and he did really well. He was a man of the people. He was a good campaigner. He was a fighter, and SDF was built to. I don't know if it was built to support him or if he was built to support the SDF.
Hmm.
Now, when time came for him to step back for a little bit, Joshua Osei, I don't think he's still been able to fit the shoes that Niger
Yeah.
Fundi left.
Hmm.
And because he's not been able to fit the shoes that was left again, because the party was built around an individual as opposed
Right.
to policies. Now he is not only campaigning Cameroonians, he is campaigning the party itself.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that he has successfully won the hearts and soul of the
Yeah.
SDF party. He hasn't. So he's
Yeah.
not only campaigning Cameroonians, he's campaigning his own party.
Yeah.
And I think that is where that is how the SDF has declined. As soon as Neil John Frundi became, took a step back, there was no one there who was able to step
Yeah.
up.
And I even said before Nigel Fundi today, before he passed away, you could tell that the SDF was dwindling down.
It was different, yeah, because he got
Yeah.
old and
He
he
got
was,
old and weak.
and then of
And
course,
fair point. I think SDF was built around Nigel. He had that charisma. He was closer to the people. You could tell like there was a ground momentum. He had a life of his own, built by his closeness to people. But I think one thing that SDF failed is they did not make it. They did not make enough of a national effort. They limited the party to the northwest and maybe some
the
strides in the
southwest, little
southwest.
the
You
littoral,
know,
yeah.
yeah, they didn't make an effort. It was almost like a lost battle. I mean, you see them marching on National Day, campaigning in Douala, but they were campaigning in Bonaberry, which is where all Anglophones, everybody from the north where was
Mhm,
from.
mhm.
So he, in an effort, not in an effort, in an attempt to stay closer to the people on the ground and feel like you're a Norwesterner and this party is an opposition, a big opposition in Cameroon. They did not make other parts of Cameroonians feel like they could be part
They
of that
belong.
opposition.
Yeah. And again,
Like
it's
if you went
no
to the
point.
far north, like would SDF has been a viable opposition in the far north or in Littoral or in the west region
Mhm,
or in the southwest?
mhm.
It almost felt like a Bamenda man's thing. You
Yeah,
get what I mean?
right.
Yeah, it almost felt like it was a Northwesterners thing. There was little effort to make it national, to make it grow as a viable opposition, articulate the aspirations of the Cameroonian people, not just the
Not of a
Northwest,
region.
and not of the region. That's my thing about the
And
SF.
I
And
think Nijon is not the SDF is not the only political party that has struggled.
that struggle with that, yes.
It might just again, there are a number of reasons for this. It might be lack of finances. It takes
Like,
money to
yeah,
run a political party.
it
So
does,
if
yeah.
you have limited funds, you probably limit yourself to a certain geographical region, right?
Right.
There will be no point going to the far north. I mean, there's no money to get
There's
even
no
get
there's no
get,
money to
get
get
you
it.
there. So how
But
do you
remember,
even get there
Nijon
to
used to go
campaign?
and campaign in the far north.
He
Nijon used
did.
to go and campaign
He did.
in the far
He
north.
did. He did.
You
But
know,
again, Cameroon. I don't know how political parties survive in terms of campaign financing.
right?
I
I
spent.
don't know.
I mean, I grew up in Cameroon. I left Cameroon when I was like 26, 27, 20
Yeah.
something years. there was no point that I heard any political party say, please, we need your donation. No point. So it's like, how do they raise money? Because I mean, here everyone is raising money. Every candidate is raising money. They have websites. They're campaigning. You donate here, donate here. That is nothing that you hear in Cameroon. I don't know if it's just members of the political party who contribute to fund the party, or I don't know where, if individuals just bring money and do that. But again, I think that has been the biggest limitation for the SDF. It's resources. No resources to do anything past the northwest, the southwest, and littoral, because again, it's just that geographic area. I think that Kamto as well, with the MRC and now Manidep, fell in the same trap, where Kamto was more a Bamileke person. In the west, a little bit in littoral, because we have a big population there, and that is where it ended. Right? Southwest, northwest, not
you don't hear them making
you don't hear them saying anything. Joshua, I was saying, recently was in the northwest, and I think he's going to be doing a rally in the southwest. The CPDM has said their prime minister has gone down to the northwest and the southwest, spent a couple of days, rallied and campaign is going on actively in the northwest and southwest, and everywhere else in the country. I'm talking about the CPDM. MRC, Manidep, Mois Kamu has not been to the southwest in years. I don't remember the last time he was in the southwest. I don't remember the last time he was down in the northwest, right? So again, if you don't go to the people and meet with them and talk to them, how do they even start believing or trusting that you have their best interests at heart? He's been talking about, which again, we have a clip to show. He's been talking about this Anglophone crisis for a while. But he has a good message. He's never been to the northwest and southwest. Never.
And he has, in my opinion, he has engaged in debate and public exchanges more than Biya has in the public in terms of the Anglophone crisis. I mean, but you say Biya has action on the ground, but that's true. I don't know. But recently, I think they were trying to do better. I know he went to France under MRC to get finances. So
that was a month or so.
It'll be interesting to see how it does that. So another aspect I wanted to bring, especially in the failure of SDF, is the Amber crisis. Like they did not find a way to deal with that in a way that affected Cameroonians. They fumbled a little bit. We can do federation or holding a federation. Then the crisis became worse, and the Amber started putting enormous strain, killing people, destroying properties, and everything on Northwesterners, because Northwesterners are the first victims before Northwesterners and Westerners. And then people are like you are not even defending us from the people who are causing atrocities in our own city. And suddenly, CPDN came in with their military might, with their money, with everything, and they won the day. All they can say is, "We are here to protect human lives and property.
Your
That's
property.
It. We are here
from
to maintain
from your children,
from your own children,
from your own children. We are protecting you and from your own kids. I mean, how many times was John kidnapped?
How many times was John kidnapped?
How many times was the bishop kidnapped? I mean, so it's like.
If I'm an SDF supporter, I'm like, wait. So the people who are supposed to be in the opposition are being kidnapped. Okay, like what's the chance for me of voting the SDF, who have no clear position on these people? They don't say whether they condemn them or not. They don't say whether these people are supposed to be they're supposed to be military present to protect us here. Like, I think where do I stand?
SDF was caught between the rock and the hard place. There was no decision that they could have made that would have served anyone, because the ambassador, the secessionists wanted secession. There was no middle ground. You are either a secessionist or you're the enemy.
And they'll kill you if you don't.
Even if you were a federalist and wanted a federation, which gave us a certain level of autonomy, they did not want to hear about that. SDF had initially, again, very clearly was not a secessionist. SDF has never been a secessionist party. If they were, they would have asked for secession.
Stop with the SCNC. There was strife between SDF and SCNC.
It was launched, right? But that was not the agenda of the SDF. The SDF was willing to go with federation, which was kind of a middle ground. Yes, I'm
It
not
was kind of a middle
for
ground,
unity
yeah.
state, but I'm not for secession. I'm not for
Right.
secession. I'm in the middle. Let's talk about
Yeah.
a federalist system of government. But
Yeah.
again, there was no tolerance for that.
That was not
It was
turned out from the ambassador.
we separate your
I'm more to that. Legion, those are our boys. These are our children. He when the crisis first of all started, and I'm not blaming him here because no one knew where the crisis was gonna be.
was going right.
But he was almost claiming ownership of these guys and
Mhm.
making them feel like disgruntled Cameroonians who have a legitimate cause. And they do. A lot of people feel that.
Yeah.
But then they started taking up weapons and they became a radical militia and were causing havoc. So you have already claimed that these people are your boys, that are people that are different, and then the government is coming to protect you from your own boys. And like, okay, if you're SDF supporters, you have to question that honestly. So I think they were already dwindling. The transfer of power to
Just
Joshua
like
actually put them in the ICU, and then Amber just came and plucked them out of the ICU, and SDF just died and went into oblivion. Like they are non-existent today. You cannot count them among the first three serious oppositions in Cameroon.
Right. But the thing about the Anglophone crisis, which is definitely a key point here, is that the opposition has not been able to find
The solution.
to find a solution different from what the
government is doing.
administration has instituted. They talk about
Disarmament.
dialogue. They talk about dialogue.
There was a grand national dialogue already.
The current administration can say we had a grand national dialogue to these people. They talk about disarmament.
There's a disarmament center in Norwest, Southwest.
There's also disarmament centers up in the north for the people
for
of
Boko Haram.
So the government is already doing that. That's nothing new. You talk about some level of autonomy, federation.
Yeah.
Well, the
government are already working towards that.
We're already working on a special status, whatever that is.
You have a special status. Like
so this is
like, what do you as an opposition have to say? What do you have to say?
Do you say exactly do you buy what the government is saying? And if you're buying what the government is saying, why do we need you?
Yeah. Why do we need you?
Resolving
that issue, honestly, right? An honest question. For me, if you ask my honest opinion right now, the SDF should just join the CPDM. Because they're literally just saying what the CPDM is already doing. Like, right. Okay, just join them. Just form a coalition with them. Because you cannot even survive on your own, honestly. And I think not maybe we can only look this in hindsight and judge with the present circumstances, but denying to form a coalition and take up positions. Or remember Niger at one point was asking for major ministries to form a coalition, like asking for the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Territorial Administration. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Take a ministry and
take a ministry and do the job well.
This is the thing about a coalition, especially there are societies where there's a minority government where two governments, one and then the opposition come together to work things out, right?
Yeah.
Then at the end of the day, the opposition would say this happened because we did this. Take a ministry or two or three
and do something,
no matter how insignificant they might be, and then do your best to make sure that they are the best ministries in the country. Then tomorrow, when there's time for election, you can say, hey, we ran this ministry. This is what we do. There's evidence. There's kind of a track record. These are the things that we did. These are the proposals that we put in place. These are the steps that we took. These are the results. You could show something for. But again, for me, that was a big mistake. And I think the fear was that you cannot be an opposition and be in the government at the same time. Which again, it's a fair argument, right? But at a certain point, you've tried several times. You can't just get into office. Take a ministry, take 2-3 ministries, run them to the best of your abilities, and then so that you can turn around and say, hey, this is what we've done with this thing. Again, just wanting to go back on the Anglophone crisis, which we've talked a little about. I found a little clip of Professor Mois Kamu, and how he intends to deal with the Anglophone crisis. This clip was from a year ago. I'm not sure if that position has changed or if that is his current position. But again, I don't believe it's changed at this time. So let's listen.
I've always said secession is not an option.
Again, just a disclaimer out here. I couldn't find this clip anywhere else other than from MKPD. So if you see the MKPD sign, is not intentional. That was just the only place I was able to find the clip. And if you noticed, I moved the clip a little forward because I'm not here to promote or introduce anybody to anything that they don't already know, right? So it's an MKPD clip. For some reason, he seems to have a lot of videos and clips about Cameroon. If you find it anywhere and you don't see it, you go to MKPD, you
You will find
definitely
it.
find it somewhere.
He
Again, I
has the
wanted to,
archives of everything. We watch these
has-
things and we move along. He keeps
yeah,
them.
he keeps them. So I just wanted to put that out. That's a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
I can talk with the secessionist just to try to convince him that it is in his best interest to come back to his mother country, to his fatherland, because his place is here and not out. But secession is not an option and will never be an option as far as I'm concerned. But I'm ready to talk with them to understand why they can come to ask for a secession of their country. I'm not against talking to secessionists.
This clip is definitely about 3, 4, 5 years, maybe
It's
5 years old.
It's not 2 years. It's a long time.
No,
Because
I think it's like 5 years old.
I see Mimi for there, which
You see
means
Memo, she was still in the Equinox. You're looking at Eric Tato, who's had his own predicaments in the US right
I
now.
really heard a different opinion in his approach to dealing with the Anglophone crisis. Have you heard anything different?
No, that's basically what the government said. Government CPDM says Cameroon is one and indivisible. That's the own version of secession is another thing. I'm willing to talk to him. The Grand National Dialogue is what the government did.
Right.
Okay, so I'm willing to include them. The disarmament committee is already doing that, giving people opportunity to reintegrate into the society and become better members. So I don't know.
He was not even clear about the federation.
He wasn't.
Did
He has. Well, he
whether
has.
or not he could agree to a 10-state federation or a
I don't
2-state
think
federation.
So.
I
don't think
no,
what I
he's
remember
not
about
very,
Campbell hasn't.
different from the from the ruling.
No,
He's not different.
he's not. Honestly, he's not. He's
Similar
not.
in this regard.
And I only favor Camto because he seems to be one who wants to reduce the government. He doesn't want to expand the government. He doesn't want to centralize power. He wants to bring more private sectors into the place. So I think that's where I give him an upper hand. Not stretching the government, not making the government involved in every aspect of the lives of Cameroonians.
And I do agree that economic emancipation and improvement could definitely put an end to this Anglophone crisis, because I think the primary issue is not even the teachers or the lawyers. It's just the disgruntlement,
the jobless
with the joblessness and all that. Because again, anybody who no employed and seriously educated youth is in the bush, with weapons. If you look at it critically, you would find people who have been unemployed, who have been home for years and years with no opportunities, and happen to hear someone say, "Hey, if we
can kidnap for 3 million
and do this and do that," right? People like that. Again, that is something that I posted this some time ago on our Facebook, where somebody said the problem of Africa, crime and terrorism, is not a matter of religion or anything like that. It's a matter of it's
an economic problem.
It's an economic problem, because if people are gainfully employed, people are earning an income and making a good living and living well and making family, nobody would want to be a terrorist. Nobody wants to go pick a gun and fight if they have a stable, secure a home and family, right? So I think it's again, I agree with you. If Camto's push for economic emancipation and development could definitely limit the growth or progress of terrorism and armed conflicts in Cameroon. That is very clear.
Yeah. I don't know if we can still make that kind of statement. I'm willing to listen to them. The CBN, they are willing to listen to what?
At this point,
the Northwest is fine. I mean, you still have people killing other Northwesterners here and there, sporadic retributions and revenges. But pretty much it's like who's fighting again in the name of Amber or no, in the name of secession
Now they're
and
just doing their own thing.
aspiration. Yeah, anybody's just doing you carry a gun, you kidnap two people, get your 10 million, you go shit on quiet, be a house. And that's pretty much it. Like there's no political agenda behind the move again.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more economic now.
Yeah, there's more economic gain
Money is
from
more
kidnapping.
money-minded,
Yeah,
money-minded
exactly.
situation. I wanted to, which again, where I know we've talked about this, but I wanted to kind of play a short clip of Agbobala, who kind of
Yeah.
barrister Agbobala. I know we usually just call his names, but I mean the
I know.
titles that. So he's a barrister. Kamto is a professor. So if we say
Professor,
Kamto,
very well
we
educated. Yeah.
know that this is a very well educated individual that we're
Gentleman.
talking about.
Yeah.
So Agbobala had made a little clip, kind of an educational clip as to the number of candidates who have presented their candidacy for the elections and what that process is going to look like, right? So I thought I should have played it earlier so we understand what this process is before we got into the conversation. But I think it's still educated enough that I want to
Mm.
now.
Greetings. As we are all aware, the deadline for submitting documents for presidential elections ended last night. We have 81 candidates and parties that have submitted documents. A lot of people are worried with the number of candidates, but I just want to walk you through the process. The actual work begins now. Elecam would meet Wednesday or Thursday to go through the documents. The law provides Elecam to critically go through the documents, meaning that they will look at the law to ensure that all the candidates meet the requirement provided by the law. For example, if you are represented by a political party, the party has to have an elected officers in parliament, senate, or in a municipal council. You equally need to have the 300.
So you see where Mois Kamto
Have to
had to
make the
make
move.
that move because it is the rule. It's not pulled out from thin air. It's the
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah.
You have to
Atangaji
have
was
a
right once again.
representative. Atangaji was right once again. You have to have a representative in parliament, or at least have a council that you're managing. You have to be administering something,
At
right?
somewhere.
Which is what MRC did not have. So again, necessitating Kamto's move to manage them. Again, I just wanted to kind of point that out.
Yeah.
And let me know if there's anything you need to point out. I'll just pause.
Yeah, no.
The 30 million caution. If you are an individual candidate, you need 300 signatures, 30 from each region. Then you need to show proof that you're Cameroonian, you're of 35 years of age also. So this is the time that Elecam would do the work. Those who would meet the requirement, their candidature would be accepted. Those who don't meet the requirement, the law provides that Elecam would give a written decision on why their candidacy was rejected. Elecam will now forward these documents to the Constitutional Council. The candidates who have been rejected would have to appeal to the Constitutional Council. And it's only the Constitutional Council that will determine the final list. The Constitutional Council would have to publish the final list, and it's only the final list that these candidates will be able to run for the 12th of October elections. I just wanted to bring this to your attention for us to calm down and wait for the Elecam and Constitutional Council to finish their job. Thank you.
My friend, not my friend, even though I see kind of admire him a little bit. Mr. Atangaji Paul put out a statement. Say once Elecam has disqualified you, there's no room. There's no room for appeal.
Did he really?
Yes.
Did he really do that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He said that, and I think I might have a clip of it. I think I have a clip of it here.
Yeah,
it's like once you're disqualified, there's no room for appeal because you're just going to disturb.
Yeah.
But again, it's Atangaji, and he says his thing. I mean, his ministry, Minister of Territorial Administration, right?
So he's highly involved in the electoral process.
So he's highly involved in that process. So that's that. There's another interesting thing I want to put up, Ghana, again, just in line with Barrister Agbobala's comments. Can you talk a little bit about your friend here?
This is a young man
And
who's
just read what
36-year-old.
he says about the money piece.
He's the lawyer doctor. I'm not going to bore people. I'm just going to read the last part.
Yeah.
So after he called, this is from Better Things. He wasn't able to get it 300 signatures, and then after he called for financial support, he succeeds for Reina only 300,000. He not meet up to the 30 million fees. He also endorsed by a political party, but after Easter negotiation with like 4 political parties, them the last knocking. He said he go now for target the upcoming municipal and legislative election. This is a young man who is the epitome of arrogance and disobedience. He just feels like he can run his mouth and he's the smartest Cameroonian there because he is a lawyer doctor. Okay, you need to hear the people who are close to him talk about his level of arrogance and, more importantly, his level of ignorance. Okay, he has disrespected everyone. He speaks he speaks very disrespectful of elders, very disrespectful of people who have done this before. He thinks he and only he can match Biya, but he could not even get 300 signatures. So, well, I don't think we have much to say about him.
Again, I just wanted to highlight the money piece, right?
Yeah.
Politics takes money. That's
It does
why
take money.
you hear in the United States, you don't have 20, 30
Even
million
billionaires like Trump are asking for donation.
and asking for donation because it takes money. It could drain your savings and drain your investments, right? So politics is not for the weak of heart. It's not for the poor masses. Politics is for people who at least have. I mean, what did he say? How much he had put down? You can't run for the presidency with nothing in your pocket. At least say I have 2 million and I need 28 more million to go, right? That's what politicians do. I remember when people I know were running for office, man, you have to put some money down. What tell me, what shows me that you're serious about this? Is what you're willing to risk. 5 million, 10 million. Okay, I have 5 million. That's what I'm putting down for my campaign. Now let's bring a little bit more. Let's add. And so this guy, I never took him seriously, never followed him, never listened to him because I knew from the very onset.
I only knew him because of people that know him. Like
he could not be taken seriously. The one thing I heard was he wanted to ban alcohol, which was a no.
I know.
Which was a no.
That's your main thing, Cameroonians, right? Ban alcohol.
That's all I heard. That's all anybody had to say about him. The guy, the candidate who is wanting to ban alcohol. I mean, in Cameroon, that is unheard of.
And it just speaks to the people who say they're going to fight for your freedom, but they're almost starting by restricting your freedom. Do you know what it means to take a money that you are not supposed to drink?
You remember the time of the prohibitions in the United States?
Yeah. You want to tell me that I work my money and then you want to come and tell me that I'm not supposed to use my money. So there's no way you can do that except your tyranny. Then you make the CPDN look like the most liberal type of government, because they drink drunk for Cameroon anyhow. But your first point, like you want to ban alcohol.
People. No, you don't want people to be happy anymore. That's what you want.
Yeah.
I have again. I'm hoping that this clip has a portion with Atanganji making his comment about. Again, I think this is going to be our last clip, and then we are going to kind of round up. We haven't really talked about. Maybe let's listen to the clip first.
2 jours après le dépôt de sa candidature à la présidentielle, Mois Kamu réunit la presse ce samedi. L'opposant et candidat à la présidentielle vient annoncer sa démission du MRC.
J'ai adressé au mouvement pour la renaissance du Cameroun ma lettre de démission comme membre de ce parti le 25 juin 2025.
Ancien candidat et président du MRC, Mois Kamu explique avoir rejoint le mouvement africain pour la nouvelle indépendance et la démocratie après avoir quitté le MRC. Une pirouette qui lui permet de contourner le code électoral qui dispose que seuls les partis ayant des élus peuvent présenter un candidat à la présidentielle. Or, le MRC avait boycotté les dernières élections législatives. Investi le 16 juillet par le Manidem, candidat à la présidentielle, l'opposant a déposé son dossier de candidature et assure qu'il sera validé.
Il y a déjà 25 candidats. Je crois que d'abord, il faut laisser les instances compétentes examiner tranquillement les candidats des uns et des autres. Et moi, je ne suis pas de ces élèves ou étudiants qui vont à un examen en prédisant leur propre échec.
Une autre disposition du code électoral qui pourrait inquiéter le candidat stipule qu'on ne peut militer dans deux partis à la fois. Mais Mois Kamu a expliqué avoir adhéré à sa nouvelle formation politique le 27 juin dernier, 2 jours après son départ du MRC. Les candidatures définitivement validées par la commission électorale devraient être annoncées au début du mois d'août. Le ministre de l'administration territoriale a déjà prévenu qu'aucune contestation ne sera retenue en cas de refus d'une candidature.
Lorsque les candidats à l'élection présidentielle de 2025 seront validés par les instances compétentes, aucune autre forme de revendication ne sera tolérée. Après 2025, il y aura forcément 2032.
Les candidatures définitivement validées par la commission électorale devraient être annoncées au début du mois d'août. Au pouvoir depuis 1982,
So Mois Kamu is still not clear. In my opinion, this is what is going to happen. They are going to say he was militating for two political parties at a time, which is something that you really cannot do. And they are going to figure out, when did you resign from this? And when did you become a member of this? When did you resign from the MRC? And when did you become a member of Madidem? Right?
Yeah.
And they are going to hold him on that. He is going to be very lucky to be approved to run for this election. That is my opinion. We might have a conversation about this when the list is out. But I can assure you that this government
is not on the clear
yet to let things go. He would have to fight to be a part of this election. He would have to fight really hard. This maneuver that he just did, that is just the beginning of his struggle. He's going to have a lot more to prove. Again, that in my opinion.
I'm generally hopeful that he'll be able to stand. I look at him as the most potent opposition. Right. So I hope he can be able to make this work. And I hope it's not as complicated as you have put it there. You know, if he's a member of a party, as long as they have delegates, that's fine. I hope that's the case. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Perfect. Is there anything else you want to bring up before
I think round up? I'm just to reiterate our observation that the failures of the governments are obvious. Every Cameroonian understands that. But I think also we also have to acknowledge the failure of the opposition and also the failure of us as Cameroonians to hold those who lead us in high esteem and demand accountability and responsibility from them. So I think it's a collective failure. People like to look at it as top bottom, but I also think that we as Cameroonians have failed in many ways to do better for our societies in your own little part. You don't have to wait for the political parties to come and change things for you. You are the ones who decide to bribe the gendarme officer. You're the one who decides to take exams for people that are not qualified. You're the one who decides to run through the red light. The one who eats and throw litters on the road. All those things. At the end of the day, the political parties come and go. What are you doing at your own level? They have their role. We have our role. It's a collective failure, if you ask.
I think as citizens, like you said, as citizens of the state, we all have a part to play. You don't respect the law, yet you blame the authority. They have those laws in place so that you respect them. You bend the law, you twist the law, you bribe and you corrupt, and then you say that the state is corrupt. The state is you. You are the state, right? You are the state. People see crime and report crime. Back home, people see crime and they walk away as if nothing is
Yeah,
happening.
something like that.
And then you blame the police for not doing their job. You saw the
Yeah.
crime. Did you make a report? No.
Mhm.
Right. So we've spent a long time making excuses
Yeah.
by blaming the government. We are the government. Isn't that what it said? Are we not the government? We are.
Yeah.
And then when we get to time where we can hold the government accountable for their actions, we
You don't
choose to
even register.
dissociate. We don't even register to vote. We do not register to vote. How do you create change?
Yeah.
Can you turn around and claim that you picked a candidate and they didn't do what you did not? You did not even go out to pick a candidate. You did not even bother, right? And I think that is where the problem is. For the candidates who are running, I think they need to start paying attention to the young people.
Yeah.
Again, like they said, we are 60% or more
Yeah.
of Cameroonians are under 25 years old,
Yeah.
right? They need to have a voice. They need to have someone up there representing them strongly. So for the candidates, we need to find a place to bring in the youth. It's not just about, because again, Biya might be old, but Kamto is old too, right? Biya might be old, but Joshua is not a youth. I mean, would you consider him a youth? No,
No,
he's
really
not.
not.
Yeah, so he too is old. So we want a government that incorporates the youth, not just by word of mouth. I mean, by giving them responsibilities and asking them to take responsibilities or leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, here we have people 25, 26, 27 years who are running for office or who are leading departments, right?
Mhm.
And working in the government and doing big things. We need to give our youth the opportunity. If not, there's definitely no way of bringing the youth into this. We are definitely going to have a lot more conversations
Oh,
as
yeah.
things heat up, as a campaign goes, as
Yeah.
the election releases a list and disqualify those that they disqualify. We're going to talk about why, who, and who was disqualified, or who was
Yeah.
fighting for what. We're going to see how President Paul Biya, maintains his grip on power. We're going to talk about that as well. Again, we thought it was important to bring this conversation to you guys. We had a good turnout, or had a good number of people listening and watching.
Yeah.
If you enjoy this program, please click your like and subscribe to YouTube and follow us on our Idle Park Talk Show page. It does help us with the growth, and help puts us out there, right? So more people can listen to the message that we have to pass across. Ghana, any final words before?
No, that's it. You said it all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Good night.